If you have ever compared your track to a reference and thought, why does mine feel messy, small, or just harder to mix? There's a high chance the problem isn't your mix, it's your arrangement. Because professional tracks don't just sound clean in the mix, they are built to be clean from the very beginning, and that process starts in the production phase. So, in this video, I'll show you 6 crucial things that will make your mix easier, cleaner, and way more professional. Before you even start mixing, these tips will shorten the time it takes for you to mix a song. It will sound better and give you more headroom. Following these tips I'm about to share, you'll notice that one of these will instantly fix that everything is clashing feeling. One will make your drop hit harder with fewer sounds. And one is probably the exact reason your mixes feel crowded right now. So let's get into it. Why your groove feels messy. If your mix feels messy, it's often not a mixing issue, it's a rhythm issue. Too many elements are fighting for attention. You need to decide who owns the groove. In most genres, it's kick and bass. Everything else should either support that groove or stay very simple. If your bass, chords, and plucks are doing complex rhythms, your mix will feel chaotic no matter what you do later. Here's what you need to do. Mute everything except kick, bass, and one rhythmic element. If that doesn't groove, fix that first. In this track, which is my latest one called Caipirinha, I have a 4 on the floor kick and a very simple bass line. It's basically 2 notes per bar. This allows me to have more complex rhythm on other tracks, like here for example. These pluck chords are more rhythmically complicated. With these 3 elements going, I feel I still can do more, and specifically to the high frequencies, so I added an acoustic guitar rhythm. It is still similar to the rest and adds to the overall rhythmical groove. Lastly, I have my guitar hook. With this track, my main goal is to have the hook repeat on so many places as possible to make it memorable. Since the rhythm here is quite crowded, now I have lowered the volume and its purpose is to just sit in the background before the drop, where it will take over as a lead element. But rhythmically, you see I am following the bass core rhythm with the 2 notes per bar. In the drop, the hook is the center of attention. Stop stacking everything. Another big problem is harmonic overload. If every instrument is playing full chords, they are going to clash. Instead of stacking multiple instruments all playing full harmony, think about building one sound out of layers. The pros do a lot of layering in order to create one cohesive sound. It is, however, important to stack them correctly so that the sounds don't mask each other, making it harder to mix in a later stage. Check this example, the pluck chords. I have a main sound covering almost the whole frequency spectrum, but I'm not using all the notes in the chord. It's basically the root note and the 5th. Next sound is there to give the pluck wide low end. The 3rd sound is a wet sound providing more character. Looking at sound 2 and 3, they do play full chord, but they are separated with 1 octave, making sure they are not colliding. Last sound is adding some brightness. I made sure that no low end comes through by high passing it to around 500 Hz. To keep the groove interesting, I have some percussive pluck sounds that come in occasionally. Texture. Stop stacking chords. Texture is basically how thick or dense your track feels. And the mistake that is so easy to make is trying to make everything sound big all the time. But what actually creates impact? It is contrast. Let me show you what I mean. In the first part of my chorus, I keep things very simple. The bass, for example, it is just a 2 note per bar pattern. just enough to support the groove. Then in the second part of the chorus, I want more energy and more movement. So instead of adding a bunch of new layers, I evolve what's already there. I add some more rhythm to the bass, and I also bring in a sub bass and I sidechain it to the kick so it starts pumping. Now the track feels bigger, not because there's more stuff, but because the texture changed over time. Same things with my lead guitar hook. In the chorus, it's very subtle. It's just there in the background, almost like a reminder. This is a perfect way to make a certain melody stick. Play it on different places in the song. Max Martin is using this all the time. And then, when the drop hits, the same hook becomes the main focus. It moves to the front and takes the center stage, and other elements step back or drop out completely, like the pluck chords and acoustic guitar. This is the key idea. Texture is not about adding more layers. It's about controlling what's in focus and when. If everything is big, wide, and full at the same time, your mix will feel crowded. But if you keep some parts simple, let elements take turns, and change density over time, your track will feel cleaner, more dynamic, and much easier to mix. This is why your track isn't memorable. To make people come back to your song, it needs something they remember, a clear hook. I actually learned this from a session here in Sweden where Max Martin talked about this exact thing. The idea is, your hook shouldn't only exist in one place. It should come back in different forms throughout the track. For example, it might first appear in the vocal, then later be played by a synth, or be hinted in the background before it fully hits. A perfect example is Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. That iconic synth in the intro, it's basically playing the same melody as the vocal in the chorus. So even before the vocal comes in, your brain already knows the hook. So how to use this? Introduce your hook early in the song. Bring it back in different forms. Let it take full focus at the right moment. This makes your track feel cohesive. It makes it more memorable, and it actually makes mixing easier because you're not introducing new competing ideas all the time. How to create space in your mix. If your mix feels crowded, this is usually why. You're not thinking about space, you're just adding sounds. There are 3 simple things you need to control. 1. Frequency. Every sound should have its own range. If you stack multiple sounds in the same area, especially in the mids, they will fight each other. Simple way to think. Bass lives low, leads and vocals more in the mids, and air and detail in the highs. Don't stack 3, 4 sounds doing the same job in the same range. 2. Rhythm. Not everything needs to play all the time. If too many elements hit at the same time, your mix feels crowded. Instead, let some sounds leave space. Let others fill the gaps. Space between sounds equals clarity. 3. Depth. Some sounds should feel close. Others should feel further away. You don't want everything hit in your face at the same time. For example, main elements should be more upfront and dry. Supporting elements should be more in the background. Simple way to think about it. If everything is in the same frequency, playing at the same time and equally upfront, your mix will feel small and messy. But if you spread things out in frequency, in timing and in depth, your mix will feel wider, clearer and more professional, without doing much later in the mix. Workflow to clean up your mix fast. If your mix feels messy, do this. Start by stripping your track down to the essentials. Only kick, bass, 1 chord or harmonic element, and 1 top sound, maybe the lead vocals or a hook. Solo these tracks and make sure this already sounds good. Just focus on these sounds.
And I just can't take it, might be going crazy. The only thing I want is to be next.
Then add elements back one at a time. And every time you add something, ask yourself, what is this adding? Is it adding groove? Is it adding emotion? Or is it adding energy? If you can't answer that clearly, remove it. Fewer sounds with clear roles means less overlap, which makes everything easier to hear and easier to mix. A clean mix doesn't start in the mix. It starts with the choices you make in your arrangement. Fix that and everything else gets easier. Thank you for watching.